All right, for more on the debate, we're now joined by our correspondent, Nick Harper, who joins us now from Washington. Good day to you, Nick. Thank you very much for being with us here on SABC News. All right, I suppose there is a bit of a delay, but Nick, forecasts are pointing to a Biden win. But I mean, Nick, we've seen this sort of play out before, haven't we? For example, during the era of Hillary Clinton up against Trump. I wonder if there's a sort of weariness on those who might get a little bit excited about what happened the first time round.
Well, I think there may well be. If the polls are to be believed, Joe Biden is streets ahead of President Trump, nationally, but also in the swing states. President Trump has managed to narrow the gap in some of those states, but Joe Biden's still very much on top. But of course, remember, as you mentioned, the polls were completely wrong 4 years ago in 2016. We went into that election thinking that Hillary Clinton was going to win, and then there was the complete upset of Donald Trump taking the presidency. So if those polls are to be believed, this debate coming up tonight will really be the last opportunity for President Trump to speak directly on primetime television into American voters' homes. And he'll be wanting to lay out why he wants another 4 years in office and why he deserves it. As we heard in that clip just a moment ago, he says that he will be able to achieve an economic recovery with another 4 years in office. Joe Biden, on the other hand, he says will end up causing a recession in the United States, which will be devastating. So it's an opportunity for Donald Trump really to try and lay out that message. We have seen a bit of weariness from some people. In the last debate a couple of weeks ago, Donald Trump was constantly interrupting Joe Biden. There was lots of shouting. It was a very chaotic affair. And the polls after that showed that a lot of suburban women, in particular, had been put off by Donald Trump and the way that he had commanded himself during the course of that 90-minute debate. So he's being cautioned that he needs to be a little bit calmer. He needs to allow more time for Joe Biden to get his point across. Yeah. Donald Trump, I guess, really hoping that this is his big opportunity, 12 days out from the election, to speak to millions of voters in their homes later on tonight.
Well, it's been 3 weeks since they last met on the debate stage. And I mean, a lot has happened, Nick, since then. I mean, Donald Trump testing positive for COVID-19, for example. I wonder if any of those issues that have happened since that time to now will necessarily have an impact on the debate tonight. And I wonder if, Joe Biden might go in for the jugular and kind of talk about the fact that, look, Mr. President, you did test positive for COVID-19, for example.
Well, of course, yes, in that last 3 weeks since the last debate, we've only seen COVID-19 numbers rise. And as you said, the president has tested positive. So Joe Biden undoubtedly will want to really keep the spotlight on Donald Trump's handling of the pandemic, which the Democrats say has been disastrous. Donald Trump will likely want to focus more on the economy. We've seen some better jobs numbers over the last couple of weeks, which I'm sure the president will want to try and capitalize on. There's also been reports of Donald Trump's taxes, having a bank account in China, which President Trump hasn't made mention to over the last couple of days since that report came out in the New York Times. Joe Biden will likely want to mention that. So it could be a fractious affair, but the debate commission has changed the rules for this debate. After the last terrible debate that was a complete mess, they're allowing each candidate 2 minutes of uninterrupted time to lay out their ideas at the beginning of each of the 6 segments during the 90 minutes. The opponent will have their microphone muted during that 2 minutes. The debate commission is hoping that will really reduce some of the chaos that we saw last time round, but when both of them have their mics back on, there is of course the opportunity for that. Donald Trump is saying that he will give a little bit more time to his rival. The hope is from the Trump team that will force Joe Biden to speak more about his policies in more detail, but also perhaps lead him to have some unforced errors, some of those gaffes that the former vice president has been prone to in the past.
There were some people who are saying it's actually quite a bit of a surprise that this debate is even happening at all, given that there was some kind of idea that Trump might want to pull out or cancel at the last minute. The fact that he had dropped out of the second scheduled debate that was meant to, I hear, supposed to happen in Miami, because he had said that he doesn't want to do it remotely, as was proposed as a precautionary measure. Are there still worries that he might want to do that, might want to actually drop out?
I think at this late stage it would be tantamount to shooting himself in his own foot if he were to pull out of this final debate with just hours to go. The president knows that it is his opportunity to speak to potential voters, to try and win them over. It is really his closing argument, because even though he's been crisscrossing various swing states over the last couple of weeks, this is an opportunity to speak to millions of American voters in prime time in their own homes. Those rallies, they draw large audiences, but just in localized areas. So he is expected to go ahead with it, even though there has been a lot of bluster from him over the last few weeks. He was particularly concerned about having his microphone muted. That is going to be happening tonight for a short portion during the course of the evening. He seems to be happy to go ahead with that. It will be in person, because last time round, the second debate that got cancelled, that was going to be virtual. He balked at that idea. So at this stage, it looks as if both men will be turning up on that stage tonight for a whole 90 minutes of debate time.
Nick, we of course did anticipate that the Democrats would pull out what I'm calling the big ticket item, and we heard from former President Barack Obama, and he mentioned that he believed that, I hope I'm using the correct words, he mentioned that he thought Trump was incompetent and not that the man for the job, which is really very much what his wife had also said on an online chat. Does the presence now and what seems to be more of a presence of Obama really mean a lot for Joe Biden's camp in terms of what it could do for the elections? Hearing him yesterday certainly looked as though it was kind of pushing and edging towards the Democrats' favor. Is Obama still very much well loved in that way that he'd be able to put a lot of weight on Joe Biden's campaign?
Well, I think it will. Having the former president, the person who, from a Democratic point of view, is currently the Democrat with the biggest star power, cheerleading for you, will make a big difference for Joe Biden. There have been questions as to why President Obama has been so quiet on the campaign trail over the last 6 months. He endorsed him back in mid-April. Since then, he's held a couple of virtual online events. He gave a speech during the virtual convention in August, but he hasn't physically, in person, been on the campaign trail. That changed in Philadelphia last night, and he'll be in Florida this coming weekend, also holding in-person events, really trying to raise the spirits of the Democrats and also caution them not to be complacent, because there is that fear amongst strategists in the Democrat Party that with Joe Biden doing well and surging in the polls, some Democrat voters may say, well, job done. There's no need for me to cast my vote on election day. So President Obama will be cautioning that complacency and also pushing people to get their votes in early. We've already seen a record number of Americans, more than 40 million, cast their votes early because of the COVID-19 pandemic with mail-in ballots. The Democrats are very much pushing that message that early voting is crucial for the party.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Nick. We'll certainly be watching that relatively closely. Thanks for giving us that update as, of course, we edge closer and closer to those crucial elections. Thanks, Nick.